Let's see what's going on in the world. Take this down. Oh, it's Josiah. I only know you're by your voice, my dude. How you doing? Doing well, man. How are you? Just waiting for the others to get here. Let the viewers come in. Trump is really, really old. He sure is. 78 years old, oldest presidential candidate in history. Polls are showing they're coming in. 48% of Americans, according to Morning Consult, believe that he is mentally fit to be president. 48%. It's a really sad number. Watching the world burn from the other side of the Atlantic. Yeah. I don't know, man. Things are going a bit better here than they were. Unless you're referring to like the UK riots, which I don't know anything about them. Haven't kept up to date on those. But here in the States, we have reason to be optimistic. My friend just tried to tell me that Trump was more LGBT friendly than any president before him. We are cooked. Yes, we are. If that's what your friend thinks. He, she, they, them are out of their fucking mind if that's the case. Marquette Law, I think, had Harris up by 8 points. That's definitely an outlier. I'd be stunned if that becomes like the RCP or 538 average, but still a very good poll. I know everyone's been enjoying calling Trump weird and watching him stumble, but do you think it's sort of elder abuse to force him to run again at almost 80? I don't think anybody's forcing Trump to run. Honestly, I think the vast majority of Republicans, at least the Republican political class, the elites, would love it if he would like dip out, or at least would have preferred that he never run in the first place. At this point, it's probably too late. They definitely lose. Well, I don't know. The hypothetical ABC A versus B versus C polling had a more conventional neoconservative candidate like Nikki Haley polling well ahead of President Biden. So, contest between Kamala Harris versus Nikki Haley, the Republicans might win that one. Just waiting for the others to get here. I was a bit early. Just wanted to let people come in. We may be able to avoid fascism, yes, as anti-corporatist. I hope so. By the way, those of you who are watching, please, normally I don't ask people to do this, but I really want this particular video to go viral as much as possible. And that is my conversation with Rhode Island Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Not only am I particularly proud of that particular conversation, but I'm a big fan of his, and he has been a crusader, perhaps the foremost crusader in terms of judicial reform. So Sheldon Whitehouse needs some love. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Josiah? Saw your interview with Sheldon.
Penny. That's a Big Bang Theory reference, but I don't know if you caught that. Don't know if you watched that sort of nonsense.
Do I sound loud enough, Josiah?
You sound great to me, but the chat's going to have to be the judge of that. Yes. How does the Kana Boy sound?
My goddamn audio. The Shure fucking mic. All right. It's too much.
Do you not have the Wave XLR adapter? I think I recommended that one to you.
The Wave XLR adapter. No, I have a Focusrite, like a red box. I just did the simple. I did the dummy purchases.
Bro, wait a minute. You think the red box is simple? I don't even know if I can hold it up to the fucking camera, but this right here, this is it. It's the Wave
Gain.
XLR. Yeah. Who is this
That's all that
handsome
matters.
gentleman? Well, the handsome gentleman here is me, and then the other guy is a kind of boy.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Zing.
You got me. Listen, okay, post your bench press, Josiah. You might bench press more than me. I'm pretty weak in the upper body. I can do pull-ups though.
I haven't bench press. So I actually just started to bench press for the first time in 6 years. Probably 3 weeks ago.
6 years.
Yeah. Because so normally, so I don't like the multi-purpose machines where it's on those like kind of like pneumatic hydraulic sort of thing where you can rack it yourself. And I have not gone to the gym with a partner in 6 years. So I'm kind of one of those like super responsible people that I don't get under the bench press without a spotter. So I haven't done it in 6 years.
I see. I mean, you could always just bench like a doable amount of weight, you know? You don't have to bench, so much that you're going to maybe kill yourself.
I see. I don't know. I feel like every time I used to bench, that was, it's not like I'd be anywhere near like my 1 rep max or whatever. I'm not even sure I know. I'm not even sure I know what my 1 rep max is, and certainly what it is at this point. But yeah, it was always one of those things like afterward. The bench press was the hardest one for me. I'd never done like a casual sort of like whatever I was like throwing up. It was effortful.
Yeah.
From the first rep on the first set. And then everything else after that, it's like been, dumbbell pec flies or like pec fly machines and like military press with that sort of shit. But like an actual barbell. Woo.
Genetics are really important. Yeah. Some people just kind of naturally can lift, like they take to certain lifts better than others, right? It's like, it's kind of weird. I don't know why that is. Well, I guess, I don't know. Genetics are fucking weird. But what about you, Hutch? What are your preferred lifts in the gym?
Are you even swole, bro? Do you even lift, bruh?
I should. I've been paying for a gym membership for 2 years. I think I've been active at the gym a total of like 6 months.
Nice.
That time. So they're getting a bunch of free money from me.
Well, that's
the best kind. I don't know, man. Like we just moved into this really nice apartment, and the gym that's there is the best one I've seen in an apartment complex, but it's just not the same, right? I mean, like they have a leg press and oh shit, like the leg extensions and stuff like that, but they don't have like calf extensions or anything like that. Like they don't have the full suite. And they do like a lot of cable machines, like actual full on cable with just the handles and stuff like that. So it's like, it's so strange to have to like wrap my head around. And then of course, when you have their parents who live here, so they have their little shits, running around too. It's like, oh, get off that machine. I'm like that in that boomer phase.
Yeah. One of my gyms that I go to, it looks like the guy who owns the gym exclusively buys his equipment from garage sales. Like all the equipment is like 20 years old and it's rusty and it's not a good look. Some people might say, oh, it's rustic. This is like one of those old school places. No, that's not why the equipment looks that way.
Where do you guys live again?
I live in the great state of Texas, Hutch.
I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're all in swing states?
No, I'm in LA.
New York City.
Nice.
Wow. Kind of an order of swinginess. Texas could go if
there's a lot of swinging going
perfect.
on in New York.
Have you ever seen the show?
East Coast got a fishbowl behind him.
What We Do in the Shadows? Eastco?
I've never seen that show. What is that show?
There's a character that says New York City in a really funny way. Never mind. That's fine.
I'll look up that reference. Hutch,
East Coast
it's a really funny movie with the guys that did with one of the guys that did
Taika Waititi.
Concords. Yeah. Taika Waititi's in it and he directed it, but then they made a show, and it's one of those rare times where the show's better than the the movie.
Cool. I'll look into it.
Wait a
Guys,
minute.
what if we did this? I have a suggestion. What if we shaved our beards at the last day of September, and then we don't shave at all leading up to the election? It's like a no shave November. No, it's
I
like
think
a
it's a
no
terrible
shave
idea.
November, but
I'm
in
not gonna do that.
October.
I think it's a terrible
come on.
idea. I think for whatever reason, Pisco shaved his beard because he hoped it would like help him recover from COVID quicker.
Yeah.
I bet you guys look great without your beards. You know,
You bet. You're seeing me right now. What's
I'm
your
sure.
assessment?
Pisco, of course. Pisco's a cutie patootie.
Thank
And
you.
I look about 5 years younger without my beard. I mean, it's I've got a bit
Bro,
of a baby
have you
face.
seen that? Have you seen that? Listen, I'm gonna glaze Pisco here a bit. So
Yeah.
Pisco has one of the best pictures I've ever fucking seen. Like, I'll be honest with you, I was like, I just stared at it for 5 minutes one night. He's like in a fucking suit. He's got his woman beside him. He's got a hand in his pocket. Just
Only took
like
Josiah
fucking
5 minutes,
dazzling.
Pisco.
5 minutes.
Oh boy, we're really getting like that.
I mean,
listen,
it
guys.
compensates for his shitty personality.
He's a lawyer. I bet he wears a suit and tie every day, you know?
Yeah, but it was
He's
kind of
trying
like
to
it was
wear
a bit
suit and tie.
loose. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just came from like a cocktail party, or he was about to go to one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I appreciate the glaze. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And sorry for my voice, sir, if I'm a little bit if you see me like duck out to take a little sniff. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I couldn't miss Live and Learn. Not on this week.
All right, Don Jr. What do you mean? What do you mean?
No, I mean a little one of these sniffs. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. What did you
What
have,
did you
Pisco?
guys-
It's big.
What did you guys think of Rob Noerr's AI explanation? Did you
Oh,
see the?
Wait a minute.
Is that what we're
Pisco
starting-
Pisco
Yeah.
That was a
wants to
rough
stand
one.
a Rob Noerr. Pisco thinks that Rob Noerr is a beacon of good faith.
Listen,
Yeah.
this is my thought process. The AI bot was wrong. It did it.
Hold
said
on,
a
Pisco.
wrong
Lay
summary.
the groundwork for us. What are we talking about?
So there was a debate between Stephen Bonnell II and Rob Noerr, the first of his name.
A 5-hour debate.
Yeah, where the
I've been one
discussion
of those
was
with
largely around what's an insurrection, definitions of insurrection history, and so something was brought up was the initial Bod and Paulson paper, which, for those of you live and learn lore masters, that was the initial paper that kind of started a lot of the ball rolling, and the one that Josiah linked to me to get me to be apprised of the argument. So props to Josiah, which I now wholehearted. Oh, look at that! You got the hat. They haven't released it yet.
I want to say you guys are all posers. I ordered a camo
Damn,
Harris
you
hat
got
as
one?
soon as she became
Damn.
the nominee. No, this
That's
is
stolen valor shit.
unofficial.
That's
That's unofficial.
camouflage. That's military camouflage. What are you
fake.
I
holding
think they're
as
sold
stolen
out now.
valor?
This is unofficial merchandise.
unofficial
I think, but
merch.
Amazon sold it, so I bought. Like, I'm just trying to represent as quickly as I can, boys. Anyway, sorry for the interruption.
No worries. So Noerr, they were basically arguing about what the paper said. This Bod and Paulson paper said, and Rob had said, "Well, I read a review of it, or I read it, or something where it said that it like insurrection covered state things, blah 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 blah." And he brought up as his source an AI summary, and the AI summary was regretfully incorrect because it said something that was directly contradicted in the Bod and Paulson actual paper.
Well, you saw the
He
the
said
bottom
in his
of
cook
this.
though.
Was
But
that-
no? But he said he tweeted today that the AI got it right though. Was he?
Oh,
did it
well,
not?
then I just debunked that because the AI said Bod and Paulson or suggested that Section 3 would cover state insurrections or state-related things. When in a footnote, it explicitly says Bod and Paulson, the BLM matters could have been state insurrections, but state insurrections are not federal insurrections and therefore not covered by Section 3. So in a sense, he's correct that like Bod and Paulson would have applied their insurrection definition to state crimes, but the AI summary is wrong because it's saying that Section 3, this
Would apply
constitutional
to the
provision,
BLM.
would apply to them when
protest.
Bod and Paulson say the direct opposite. And so that's one of the dangers of using AI is it will just make things up. I'm not even sure how the AI would have access to the Bod and Paulson paper.
Well, as
You're
Stephen
missing
pointed
one-
out, to be fair, Claude was on the verge of a nervous breakdown by the end of his interactions with Rob. He's like, "I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, whatever you say, please."
No, that's
So-
that's what
Go ahead.
Destiny pointed out was that because if you bully an AI, you can typically get an AI to say what you want. And it seemed like at the last paragraph that Rob had screenshotted and sent to, and I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but it looks like it, where the AI is basically like, "Sorry for my previous mischaracterization, good sir. I hope that this sufficiently answers your question." And the way that you get an AI to say something like that is if you say, no, you're wrong, try again. No, you just keep saying that essentially until it eventually spits out what might be an incorrect answer because it's just an AI bot, right? It's trying to make you.
I think Rob is just ahead of the curve because I think like 10 years from now on the debate poll scene on Twitch, there's going to be tons of AI. And like, I guess my question is like, is it unethical? Like, can we compare it to, you know, using the internet to like frame your argument? Like,
I don't think it's unethical. I mean, I think that it's like, I don't think it's. I mean, it's just like using Google. I mean, obviously with AI, the risk you're running is that it's just going to be incorrect. Now, obviously, the thing that Rob got called out for was that the AI probably was not incorrect, but you made the AI incorrect by telling it was over and over again.
Well, I thought it was twofold because so here's the thing: I was in and out of that conversation, and at one point I got pissed because I'm listening to it. So if you guys could see my setup, it's kind of fucked. But I was listening to it on my phone, and I was finishing up like my 6th video of the day on my work PC, and I wasn't looking at my phone, so I had another window up of the conversation between Rob and Steven. And he says something about I don't have a source for you. I can't remember what the source is. I can't send it to you. All I have is a screenshot. I'm thinking, all right, I'm pretty good with Google Foo. We'll see what the screenshot says and we'll just type it in and find it. And like I spent 15 minutes. Like I paused the VOD at one point. So I couldn't hear what was going on. I was just looking at the screenshot while I was multitasking. I spent 15 minutes on it. And I couldn't find the source. I'm like, that's fucking weird. I thought because it was phrased like an article.
Because you'll see it. You will see, even if it's paywall locked, you'll get the article.
Right. You would get some sort of excerpt. And I was thinking to myself, like, because I knew there were some disputes about the applicability of Section 3 when that Bowd and Paulson paper came out. You had like a couple of constitutional scholars, conservative, and I can't remember the guy's name, but there was one who initially agreed with Bowd and Paulson and then wrote a retraction. I think it was like Volkov conspiracy or whatever. He wrote a retraction. And so I'm thinking that must be it. After 15 minutes, I couldn't find it. And then when I tell DGG, I'm like, guys, I can't find this thing. Good luck.
You're like, yeah, it's AI.
It's fucking AI. And I'm like, wait, is that a joke? And it turns out to be AI. Like that was kind of the sussy thing. But otherwise, no, I mean, a resource is a resource, right?
Like, but I'm saying eventually AI will get so good that the mistakes that it make will be fewer and far between. So, I mean, I do think it's probably going to play a huge role in political discourse in 10 years.
But especially they're so rational and logical. I think that it'll be a game changer, but in the worst way for Rob, because no AI will ever take a pro-Trump position.
I think in online discourse,
support Trump. That's the joke. Sorry.
I think in online discourse, especially, what you're probably going to see, especially with like commentator channels and in sort of online debates like this, is you are probably going to see more of an explosion of like literally pseudo intellectuals, like not people, I don't know, like who would be like an actual intellectual on the right who makes YouTube content. I can't think, like, I don't know, Jordan Peterson or something when he talks about clinical research. But like, I think you'll see a lot of pseudo intellectuals who will ask AI a bunch of questions and sort of start parroting that. And I think that their downfall will be if they ever transition into the in-person realm, and then their ass is going to get showed when they can't like actively search, AI for answers in the middle of conversations. But it's definitely a useful tool. I mean, I guess as well as if you're hiding the fact that you're using AI, it could be more of a problem.
Well, that's the thing that here's what people want me to respond to, and where I will, because I'm kind of being like, let's take it down a notch. I do think that all signs show that he was lying when he said, I don't know, it's a review, I don't know where it came from. I think it's highly implausible that you don't remember that you used AI for at least one of your prompts.
You spend 45 minutes shouting at an AI.
Well, Destiny asked him, like, could you send a link to what you're referencing? And he goes, believe it or not, no. And I was like,
oh yeah. So like,
it was like, wait, what?
If you had to put a gun to me, be like, that was a lie for sure. The thing is, and I'm not trying to equate the lies. I think Steven also blatantly lied that he had read one of these opinions when he represented that he did. And he does these kind of like ego saving lies, which are really, really bad. You should not lie like this. This is horrible. But I also think like, I don't think that it should be like a blacklist worthy type thing. I think in the moment, he was like very embarrassed that this happened. and he said something that was a lie, but he later owned that he used AI after it was demonstrably shown, and you can take that for what it's worth. But I think that there are enough people who do these kinds of things, Stephen included, maybe not as bad as this, but where they'll just like reflexively say something that's not true. And I think we should give him another chance. And I disagree with Rob practically on everything.
Is anybody coming down super hard on Rob for doing this? Like that doesn't.
He's getting pretty flamed.
It's pretty
flamed.
Really? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's really funny that this happened, but it's not like Rob's a piece of shit, like horrible person.
No.
I mean, you know.
No,
like,
I'd get a beer with Rob. I think
Yeah,
Rob
of
is
course.
a get a beer with kind of guy. And so no, I didn't know he was blacklisted. I
don't know that it's official or whatever, but or whatever the hell that means. But
he's officially canceled by the left this time.
But like, I'll still have conversations with him, but I think it's worth saying, and maybe it's even worth leaning into on our show that there are moments where I think grace can be taken and where the better angels can prevail. That said, and is it okay if I transition us?
Sure.
Desire?
Transition us, Pisco.
Please.
When it comes to the meme war 2024, show no grace.
That's where grace goes out the fucking window.
Give no harbor to these people.
Oh, listen.
Meme
Okay.
There are no
war
rules.
crimes.
I
rules.
normally wouldn't bring this up, but I couldn't believe it. I was stunned.
He was
All right?
stunned.
And it's about
Audience.
Hutch. It's about that thing I texted you about earlier where I was
Sure.
I'm over
Yeah.
here scrolling through Reddit and DGG pops up. I click on DGG just see what the updates are, see how the Walz pill and the Walz energy is going. Saw a really good Lawrence O'Donnell thing that DGG linked where he just took the media to task, did a video about it today. And then I see a thread about Hutch and Adam from Sitch and Adam. And
I recuse myself from this conversation.
Bro, no, like it was more aggressive than anything. I mean, like they get
Against
aggressive
Hutch or
with-
against
against
Adam?
Hutch. No,
Oh.
Adam was aggressing against
What
Hutch.
did he say, Hutch?
It escalated so quickly. Just can you pull up the
I know I'm blocked. That's the thing. So like you gotta wait, you gotta
Well,
send
can't
me
you pull it up from the Reddit thread? 'Cause
Oh,
there were
yeah.
there were screenshots
I'm
of
sure
it.
they have like a video of it.
Yeah, hang on one second. Let me
Am I the only
he was-
live and learn
he's-
host that is not blocked by Adam and Sitch?
No, he doesn't have me blocked, but he
no, he has me blocked.
50.
he's been doing this thing where he's been pushing for custodial voting, like unironically. And at first I thought it was a bit because it's just such a silly policy.
You mean like voting for however many kids you have, you get
the
that many
Vance,
extra votes?
yeah, the Vance
Oh,
policy of
unironic.
like, yeah, and so, but he kept on pushing, and so finally I jumped in a thread where he had pushed it, and I was like, "Is this a bit, or are you being serious?" And man,
You can't
he
do
brought
that,
the
man.
heat, like
rookie. Can't be like
I'm gonna
counteracting or contradicting Adam. That's too far.
It was. Hang on, I'm looking for it because it was genuinely insane, and I didn't realize. But it's like a day old or something. I thought it was like
So-
within the past couple of hours, wasn't it?
Well, no,
But it
yeah,
was-
he accused me of being hostile, and then I said at some point, hostility for me would be usually a lot more direct. This was a genuine question, like, are you doing a Tim Pool trolling thing here, or are you actually proposing this policy? And then he said, "Are you an idiot, or is this a real question? Like, did you really
Wait,
think?
God
Did you
damn
really ride the short bus your entire life,
Oh my
or
god!
did you just sound like a complete moron? I'm being real with you here, you fucking cunt."
Holy crap!
And I was
Wait
like,
a minute, you gotta see it. You gotta see
Where did
it
that
to
come
believe it.
from?
You gotta
Jesus.
I was like,
Sir,
what?
this is a Wendy's. What do you? Where's the
Sir,
fucking tweet?
this is Wendy's.
I was genuinely shocked when I read it. I was like, I don't know what to say in this moment, so I like gave it a beat, and then, but yeah, it was like really over the top.
That's
He's,
wild.
I think his mind is broken ever since he said he was going to vote for Trump, which I've heard whispers he may be backing up a little bit on, which would be
no way.
rich. Well, I'm just
No,
hearing
I don't
whispers.
believe
I'm
it.
not telling you that I have any source. It
I
might
don't
have been
believe it.
Claude, but I've heard some whispers, and I've heard more than whispers from about Joe Rogan. The discourse is right now, right?
Wow.
Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Major, unironic, kind of a major endorsement for RFK Jr.
Major.
Like,
Well,
kind
he
of
Well,
walked
now he
it
major.
says
back.
now he says it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
He walked it back. So So real quick, I love seeing progressives turn into total anti-democracy establishment shills over the issue of custodial voting. Most of them want to lower the voting age to 16, so they evidently understand that children are people with political interests. But when you say the obvious, all children have political interests that could easily be protected by their own parents through custodial voting, parents voting for their children until they are 18, you see how progressives really don't care about democracy.
It's just such a wild leap.
Like, unless the democracy results in increasing their already oversized power.
That's true.
So
your life is a joke. Wait, I missed something. Wait, what did he say?
No, Adam is in these replies. Good God,
he's
like me.
10 people.
So then here's Hutch.
No, but I seriously thought it was a bit though. Like because it's silly.
Well,
like,
listen.
I'm not being snarky. That's the point. I was being serious.
But let's really level set here. To be fair, because this I'm not bashing him. Like I've not made a single insult about Sitch or Adam. Adam and Sitch have a sense of humor. It doesn't always manifest, but it's there, and they're really good. Adam has a very dry sense of sarcasm. I think it was perfectly reasonable for you to ask this question. He disagreed. Your whole life is a bit.
What?
I was like, I don't really know what to say to that. Like, yeah.
Hutch is not questioning them from the left if he supports the anti-democracy status quo position.
Like, I don't even know what he's saying.
His
like,
first tweet at me was hostile. I responded in kind. And Hutch, who is well known for not hiding his hostility.
Words,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll fucking go off if I'm pissed or whatever.
That's
like,
right.
You know,
whatever. Go off, Queen. But he says hostility for me would usually be a bit more direct. This was a genuine question. Like, are you doing a Tim Pool trolling here or actually proposing?
That's going to piss him off. If any comparison,
he full sent here, bro. Like, he went for it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
See, this is where like I said, and I've told you both this before, but this is where I really struggle because sometimes I love my conversations with Rob and Lactoid and others people that with whom I staunchly disagree, or even Wick. Wick is very centrist-y on a lot of his positions, and it drives me nuts. Wick and I can shout at each other and exchange fuck yous and then fist bump at the end, and that's the end of it, right? Until we meet again. And then it seems like there are others in this space with whom you got to walk on eggshells, and I don't like that feeling because I'm not used to it in my real life situation. Yeah. So I was stunned when I saw that. I almost fell out of my chair. Way to go, Hutch, you fucking monster.
What is he even talking about? Like, first of all, I have literally never heard a progressive or anybody that I follow suggest that the voting age should be lowered to 16. So why did he starts?
That's a real thing, though.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
I'm sure it is, but
Nancy Pelosi endorses 16-year-old voting.
Does she really?
Mm-hmm.
But are you being serious?
No, she's been a long-stand, on-the-record advocate for lowering the voting age to 16.
Sure.
But the argument there isn't that they're extensions of their parents. It's that it's totally themselves have enough agency to make decisions about their future, not that they are mere extensions of their parents.
Well, the analogy just completely it doesn't make any sense.
Right, because the argument from Vance isn't about the child. It's these people, meaning the parents, have a bigger stake in our democracy by virtue of having children, and so we should reward those of us who have a bigger stake
with a greater share of voting power.
And that's a completely different argument than saying, hey, we think 16-year-olds are sufficiently capable, cognizant, whatever. And you might disagree there. I don't have a public view on this because I haven't thought about it that much. You might disagree on that, but it's a completely different rationale. And yeah, I think it's totally fair for Hutch to like inquire a little more.
Yeah.
Well, me and Josiah had a conversation with Sitch and Adam like a few weeks ago, and Adam did not seem interested in defending his position.
Never is.
Like I can't even remember what we were talking about, Josiah. We were talking about like
it was before President Biden dropped out, and it was about Adam's public position that he was going to vote for Trump. And it was a very civil conversation. But he was more interested in interrogating our position, which is fine, but then did not want to reciprocate. Because even at one point, I'm like, okay, you've basically questioned and nitpicked to hell and back, and fair enough, that's what you do. But you also took an affirmative position, which is that you favor Trump over Biden. So can we interrogate that? And at one point, he was like, no, and didn't want to answer the question.
His answer was literally like, well, you know, we live in a democracy and everybody can pick who they want to choose to vote for. And I'm like, bro, what are we doing here? Like, what's the point of having a political conversation if you're not prepared or willing to defend your position? Like, you should expect that people are going to interrogate your positions. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, this is a crowd tonight in Arizona.
Wow,
it is great. No, you don't even see. Like, it is a crazy crowd size. It's like
it's right there.
It's at capacity like 20. Yeah.
Oh,
it's nuts over there.
Wow.
Yeah, this whole I don't know, I think it's interesting because we joke about it, but the conversation about Trump's mental fitness, especially I think after yesterday's disastrous press conference, is going to become even more prevalent. There are questions being asked about. There's a Morning Consult poll which came out before this Marquette Law School poll, and they noted that only 48% of Americans think that Trump is mentally fit to be president. And I think yesterday's press conference might have been his most disastrous one, and that's saying something because there have been a lot of disastrous ones.
We're seeing some really crazy polling. I mean, I like to look at the aggregate, but just to disentangle it for a little bit, there was a Marquette poll that came out 2 days ago with and Marquette, if you didn't know, is an A+ pollster. Their average error was 2.2 in 2022, so that's not bad at all. And nationally, they had Kamala up 8 points in a 5-way match. There was an internal poll out of Nevada today that had her up 5 points. Internal Republican poll in Nevada that had her up 5 points. So I think what we're witnessing or what we're experiencing right now is a genuine surge. What do you guys think?
I mean, one thing that Vance was asked on the campaign trail was like, where's Trump? Like, where's he been? Like, he's normally a guy who likes to have a couple rallies a day, right?
Well, Boy, they asked him that. They asked Trump that. He lost his shit. Did you see that at the press conference?
Yeah. What a stupid question.
I didn't see him respond to that specifically, but they asked Vance that, and Vance had this ridiculous answer, which was like, oh, we like to divide and conquer. And it's like, well, but
you're doing neither, sir.
Right. Well, right. It's like, well, in theory, if you're dividing, he should be doing rallies like concurrently with you. He's not even out there right now.
You're dividing between Georgia and Mar-a-Lago.
Well, right. Like, what's his divided effort going into? Because we're not seeing that. And I will say that it does kind of seem like Biden in 2020, where like it's, Biden's strategy in part was like, I don't necessarily want to be out here doing all these rallies because I kind of look bad, and I think with Trump, his staff might be giving him similar advice, because it is pretty bizarre, at least if you compare the campaigns that he ran in 16 and 20, where like he was literally doing 2 rallies a day, like no problem. It seemed like that was
I want to cite a very prominent political thinker of our time. And that
right here, buddy. You can just
prominent
person.
By name. It isn't you, Josiah, not this time, but it's one Nicholas J. Fuentes.
Thank God. I hate being confused with Nick Fuentes.
I think his analysis isn't now. I think some of his conclusions are wrong, but I don't think that some of his analysis is bad at all. In fact, I think it's quite good. When he's diagnosing the problem of the Trump campaign's failure to hit Harris in any meaningful way, he's saying they don't have a plan. They don't have a strategy. The main ways that they're going after, like Walz et al. Are that he presided. This is Walz now over Minneapolis's riots, but of course Trump presided over Minneapolis's riots. They're on record with Trump praising Walz for his figuring out those riots. The other attacks they have are like, oh, you're not black, you're not Indian. Or something to that effect, where they're questioning the race. None of these attacks have landed or been successful. You're a liberal, you're a communist. Those attacks, again, it's like the boy who cried wolf. They've been saying those are attacks that they use on every liberal, no matter what. And so I think that one of the reasons why Trump is not, maybe there's other stuff going on, is not able to be effective on the stump is he has no plan. There is no message.
Yeah. So let's if you guys don't mind, just for context. So there's a New Republic article, and there's video on this too, but his face annoys me. So he says, tonight I've declared a new Groyper war against the Trump campaign. Fuentes wrote on X. He explained that he and his far-right squad of online trolls support Trump, but that they view his 2024 campaign as being, quote, hijacked by lobbyists, consultants, and donors that had aided Trump's 2016 opponents. all in all,
Yeah, there's a kind of Israel part to this too, and the Jewish thing that I do not endorse. I'm just talking about the lack of message component.
right, yeah. Obviously, the anti-Semitism, which is like inherent in all of Fuentes' messages, is ridiculous. But what's interesting too is it's not just Fuentes who has been making this. Laura Loomer did a video about this too. Laura Loomer, who is Trump's biggest fan, she came out today in this lengthy X post, and she's popping off, and she's like, if something doesn't change, we're going to lose. And she went out after Comer and everybody else.
I was listening to a lecture. Go on, Hutch. I was going to say, I was listening to a lecture on fascist Italy, actually. And this is actually an incredible anecdote. And this researcher was talking about how even though the Italian government under Mussolini actually was very incompetent in so many ways, Mussolini was very, very good at establishing a cult of personality. So you'd actually have a lot of people in fascist Italy who, even though they were getting fucked over by the government in one way or another, either directly or indirectly because of like poor government services or like direct problems with like administration of things. Obviously, it's a fascist government. You'd have people who would recognize the problems in the government, but then they would say, oh, but that's not Mussolini's fault. It can't be Mussolini's fault because he's a great leader. He's just being co-opted by all these people around him. And you see something very similar, obviously, here, where you've got these Trump sycophants who love Trump, and like the problem can't be Trump. It can't be that Trump's just a complete moron who's way too old to be running for president. It has to be all the people around him. By the way, these are the same people who would say, oh, if you think Trump's an idiot, well, he's going to surround himself and hire the best people. Like, how many years in a row do we see Trump fuck up over and over and over again? And the blame is always the people around him. Like, guys, at a certain point, is he just the worst boss in like the history of bosses? Like, he can never hire people who are competent? Because 10 years running, if you keep saying that, that's what it kind of seems like.
Well, Mussolini and Trump both understood the value of media coverage. Mussolini got his start doing journalism. He worked for a newspaper in Italy, and so he figured out how to do messaging there. But I think the first week of Kamala's sort of like ascension, they were doing this is bullshit. It's just vibes. It's just a honeymoon thing. And I think now we're in the phase where they're starting to understand, like, oh fuck, this is real. Like, this is something that we have to contend with. And you know, I've never found the crowd size sort of line from Trump to be particularly convincing one way or the other. But
wait, you mean, I'm sorry, you mean you don't think he had bigger crowds than Dr. King?
It was
you fucking have TDS, bro. If you won't acknowledge that, you have TDS.
That was a question about January 6th, and he found a way to say that his January 6th crowd size was bigger than Martin Luther King. Like, but anyways, yeah, no, I think it's pretty undeniable what's going on, and I mean, there was a message from the Quartering today as well. Like, he posted a 2-minute video where he was you can play it if you want. It was only a 2-minute video, but it's him talking about how, you know, like there's too much dooming online and we have to stop fighting with each other. And yeah, the bad vibes are really sinking in over there.
Shades of the Biden dilemma weeks ago.
I was going to say the issue, normally I would agree, Hutch, that I typically don't put almost any stock into like who has the bigger crowd size. You see some people use these other heuristics. Oh, like, I don't see many Trump signs, and so that means Trump's going to lose.
Right,
it's like, come on, let's calm down a little bit. But the thing about Trump and his campaign strategy, consistently over his 3 presidential elections thus far, he has a terrible ground infrastructure. He just doesn't prioritize it, right? Like, the way that Trump gets votes is he has incredible news media coverage and control in terms of just his ability to establish narratives in the news media, and he echoes those in rallies. And so if we're seeing Trump rallies with, you know, half-filled stadiums at the same time that we're seeing those same stadiums overflowing for the Harris-Walz campaign, it does kind of bode pretty badly for a populist leader not to be able to fill up a stadium.
Yeah, when that would, as somebody who also, and I'm sure we all do, like the whole, you know, crowd size and using it as a barometer or some sort of gauge for your electoral popularity, it's ridiculous. But to your point, if that is the ridiculous standard you've established and have spent years establishing, and now you're being lapped by that standard by your opponent, yeah, it doesn't bode well. Which is why I think the Kamala HQ and their social media page, you know, obviously the vice president, she doesn't give a fuck about, like, she doesn't think the crowd size is correlated with the probability of electoral victory, but she's more than happy to troll Trump with it as well.
She knows it bothers him.
Yes.
She knows it bothers him.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Kamala, you should go back and watch that fucking it was the worst press conference he ever did, and he was triggered multiple
I've seen a lot of clips of it.
times.
Not
It
that
was a
often.
mess.
Yeah.
It really was.
He had a lot
I'm-
of senior moments. Like he was trailing off and like just wasn't seeming. It's like Trump normally is like a gobbledygook speaker, but like he can complete a thought, right? Like, but it seemed like he was actually, you know, he was having trouble during this press conference. And you know, like I'm as a former Biden supporter, obviously now that Biden's out of the race, obviously. I feel the same way about Trump, where like he's probably just older and having trouble thinking. I don't know if he's like actually got dementia or anything, but again, like, hey, if the Republicans wanted to come out and make fun of Biden for losing his train of thought, like, I don't see you guys saying the same shit about your daddy here. So,
dude, it's so funny. Do you get reply guys? Do any of you get reply guys? Because I know
Obviously.
all of you have
Of
been
course.
hitting this point, but people who are like, you didn't say that about Biden. You didn't. Pisco,
Yeah.
do you get those? Or,
Oh, do I get those? That's
Yes.
probably 80% of my reply guys are.
yeah.
But what about Biden? So yeah, I'm familiar.
Who? Yeah. I don't know. I was looking at the Quartering's Twitter page to look for this video, and I saw one of his most recent posts, and I don't know if this is Cope or what, but he's like, he's looking up like the list of RCP polls, and he's like, well, the most recent one has Trump up 5. Even CNBC has Trump up 2. Stay the course. What do you think about this?
Well, that
Yeah.
one wasn't even likely or registered voters. The CNBC one, that was like, I don't know how they did that, but
Yeah.
here, I put the Quartering thing in the chat there.
It's not helpful for them because the number one thing that is important to solving problems is recognizing them. And that's why I think that like for all of his wrongness in every aspect, Fuentes is correct. Something is wrong with the campaign. And people who are saying, no, just, you know, the Jack Posobics who are like, we're not weird, or like everything's fine, or we're just going to take our gloves off now, as though their gloves haven't been off for the past 8 years. That those people aren't doing Trump no favors. Like taking this from a Trump perspective at this point, it might actually make the best sense for him, A, either to drop out, he will never do, or B, like fire JD Vance, hire new teams, shake everything up, and have a fresh start. But I don't think that he'll do that. But I do think that you need to recognize that something is wrong if you're Donald Trump.
Yeah, which he certainly won't do in public, and I doubt he'd have the self-awareness to do it in private, even though he will evince all the signs. Like the reporting is that he's evincing all the signs of somebody who is profoundly insecure publicly and privately, but he won't actually admit that to people. I just want to say, somebody in chat, this is the craziest echo chamber I've ever seen. You guys need a few guys to debate with. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is true unless one of the others contradict me. If anybody in chat at any time disagrees with anything we have to say, we can have up to 8 guests. So you are free. Just raise your hand. We'll pull you in. If there's a particular person you have a beef with, you can, we can, the 3 of us can back off. It doesn't have to be a 4v1. It can be a 4v4, whatever. So we are more than welcome.
I'm okay with this little like. Yeah. I'm okay with the fact that we all we broadly agree on stuff. There's enough disagreement, I think, for it to be interesting conversations. But none of us, as far as I'm aware, like you can accuse me of a lot of things, but you can't accuse me of not engaging with the other side.
Oh,
like
no,
I engage with communists. I engage with MAGA. I mean, I probably spend 95% of my time speaking with people I don't agree with. So.
I think Tristan is suffering from debate bro brain. Like not every single second of programming has to be like a screaming debate between the people on the screen, right? Like obviously the point of this podcast in large part is like, it's 4 liberals coming together talking about current political events that are going on. Like obviously there's going to be a lot of agreement that we have, but all of us have, I mean, I don't know about obviously Pisco and Josiah, they don't upload this kind of content, but at least like me specifically, like I've got like thousands of hours of debates between people. I mean, I had my own 5.5 hour long debate with Rob Noerr, right? So, I mean, it was a fun one.
On everything. I debated like, because there was about literally everything. I did it this week and last week on the transgender controversy, the boxing.
I was going to say, can I suggest a pivot in topic?
Sure.
Yeah.
Gentlemen. We got to talk about Mr. Walz. I mean, we haven't talked about Walz yet. Our boy. All right. First of all, I went back and watched one of our previous episodes. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 episodes ago. Hutch was 100% on the money. I believe Hutch was the only one of us who actually said he thought Walz would be the best choice and that Walz was his favorite. I think all of us said Shapiro or Kelly, these other guys.
No way. I
no.
was
Josiah was
I
on
go
Walz.
back
No
and listen.
way.
I said Whitmer. I remember saying Whitmer.
Yeah,
think
I said
Josiah
Walz.
Shapiro,
I said Walz was my personal preference because of his record.
but you
that I
thought it would be
that I thought that
Shapiro.
Shapiro would
Yeah.
probably be considered more electorally advantageous.
And so we I mean, I'm just saying, we got to give Hutch credit for
course we
calling
do.
it more straight than the rest of us did. I love this pick, guys. What do you think about Walz as the pick at this point in the election? It's been 3-4 days since he's been on the ticket. So
He's literally perfect. I mean, I'm not saying I was like a human being, but like he's a perfect addition to the campaign. Every rally, I've just been so impressed by like what he adds to her messaging, and they seem to complement each other really well. And I've lost my mind when he did the couch joke for that first rally. I lost my
I saw that clip
mind.
of you
It was
losing.
so good, and
we
like he
hone
did
in
it
on
in
that?
such a endearing kind of boomer way too, because he kind of did like you see what I did there? Like it was like fully delivered like you would expect your grandpa to do.
It was.
Yeah, it's like when I deliver a pun on this podcast, he did it very much the same way. Walz
true.
is a kindred spirit. I do want to focus real quick on just on that specific instance, because have you all seen the pearl clutching coming from not just right wingers, not
Oh
just
my God.
Republicans, but
Establishment media.
establishment
Absolutely.
media?
Yeah.
Washington Post journalist, New York Times, Jake Tapper was bitching about it. You know, what happened to when they go low, we go high?
What happened
Sometimes
to that,
like a
Josiah?
meme just gets out of your control and it just becomes too big to defeat. And so when you try to push back against it, it just doesn't work. And it just comes across
Look,
as silly.
I can't look,
know?
guys. Tim Walz, he could. I don't know what he could possibly. He could shit himself on stage and start playing in the shit on the stage, and he would still have more class than Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump is like amongst the least classy people that's ever run for president. This guy's crazy. Like obviously, look. Donald Trump being the oppositional candidate, it's just there's a lot of room. The bar is very low. You can go a lot lower probably than making a joke about JD Vance having sex with a couch. It's really hilarious.
They're doing a really good job of baiting conservatives to do the very thing that they're insulting them for. So like they're baiting them to be weird. And so I think the thing that made the couch thing funny was that it was bizarre, but it was like there was like a shred of believability there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it was like one of those
like,
things you read
just
it and you're like,
just
nah.
1%, you know, like, but and what did they do? They're like, okay, well, we got to come up with our own thing. So they're like, Tim Walz drinks horse cum, and like that's the thing that they're trying to do. And it's like,
By
okay,
the way,
weirdos.
where did that come from?
Good luck with that.
Pun intended. Where did that come from?
No, that's literally what it came from. They were looking for like, well, they're gonna
Great
say he
question.
fucked a couch, so okay, he drank horse cum, and it
Gotcha.
just, I don't know who started it, but that's the way that
think
they've decided to respond.
What Kamala and Walz have done thus far in the campaign. Now, look, it's only been a couple of weeks since Kamala's been the presumptive nominee. Only been less than a week since Walz has joined the ticket. What they've done, though, is very strategically, I think, they have not really called out the behavior of Trump and Vance. Like a lot of the times when Biden or Hillary were running against Trump, they would make it a point to talk about how like morally awful Trump is as a person, and obviously his rhetoric. Look at all these crazy things that he's saying, this and that. They do some of that, right?
She
She
touches
touches
on
on
it. Like we're not going back, kind of. You know,
But
all that
I
stuff.
read an article that Kamala, she's very careful, number one, not to frame this as like, oh, vote for me because I'll be the first woman president. She's very careful not to call Trump a racist. And I think that in part, the messaging on the weird thing, all of this is in service to, I think, the general idea that, look, the Republicans are the triggered ones. We're not the blue-haired, freaks who are triggered over every little thing. Not anymore, at the very least. It's these Republicans that are triggered over every single little thing. It's making them look terrible. It's making them look quite sensitive, really, if you think about it. Democrats over the last 10 years have been used to, at this point, getting called pedophiles every time they advocate for free school meals.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
we are hardened to the bone when
Yeah.
it comes to getting insulted. The Republicans are not.
Let's talk about that. So Hutch shared a link. We're going to play it in just a second, but I do want to focus on this because it's a huge bugbear of mine. Number one, I think it's okay to bully bullies as long as you're not breaking the law and violating TOS. I think it's okay to be an asshole to an asshole. Like in conversations and debates that I have with people, either one-on-one or in panels or whatever, I reserve the right to match and mirror energy. So if you're a prick to me, I may or may not choose to be a prick to you, but that's entirely 100% up to me. You have no say in it. And I refuse to be held to a different standard. And I think that that's the posture that we should all have, that everybody in the Democratic coalition has. If you choose because you think it's tactically beneficial to just, kill them with kindness, so to speak, or whatever, you have the right to avail yourself of that. You mentioned the whole pedophile thing. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a sitting Republican congresswoman, and she routinely refers to the Democratic Party as the party of groomers and pedophiles. Fox doesn't say shit about it. Trump doesn't say shit about it. As a matter of fact, that to the extent that Trump says it at all, he kind of signal boosts it as well. And she's not alone. There is a wild asymmetry here. And I think that this is something that it's just worth proverbially fighting over. Like, hey, listen, you can try to hold me to different standards in the opposition all you want, but I refuse to. We can make couch jokes whenever the fuck we want. And as a matter of fact, if it pisses you off, we're probably going to do it more. And if you don't like it, then you need to be turning to MAGA and saying, shut the fuck up. Don't ever refer to Democrats as pedophiles, groomers, or party of evil or whatever. We have to start policing that. And so I love that they're doing this.
And now the joke becomes the response. Like, there is something truly absurd to a comedic degree about Matt Walsh tweeting like, this is a lie. It's a shameful lie. It's a perverted lie. Like, that is funny.
Walsh.
That's funny in itself. And so now it's like, okay, now that's the joke. And so you can go down that whole thread. And
I'm about to push back. I'm going to do some push. Is that okay? Desire, do you want to watch the clip first?
No, go ahead.
All right, here's my pushback. My phrase is, when they go low, we go medium. And so you heard me at the start of this, when the meme first started, where I was like, hey guys, you and I, like us here, we have a responsibility to the discourse, not to present it as though it is true. Now, I think that the maximum you should do on this is kind of wink, wink what Walz did, where you're just kind of being cute about it. But I think that there should be a line.
No, but it was in Vance's book and they took it out.
Stop.
By the way, you haven't read.
You're lying.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you haven't read his book. You probably read an AI chat summary of his book.
Yeah. So I believe that there are some standards that, even if they cross them, I don't think we should. And I think one of those is like spreading knowing malicious lies is one thing. But as I understand it, the person who made this said that it was fake, and I don't think there's a widespread understanding.
Yeah, no, that's fake news. That was
understand that it's fake.
Well, wait a minute. To clarify when I say match energy, I say that as a general proposition. I don't mean so. Like, for example, they staged an insurrection. I'm not saying that we should do that. Anytime a Republican wins an election, that that this is something we do. I do agree that there are differences and limits. I'm just saying that I don't think we're obligated to observe the Marquis of Queensberry rules, and I tend to react very harshly to those who do that. Unless you want to acknowledge that Democrats are just, as again, I use this phrase all the time and I mean it, as a general proposition, elected Democrats are just morally superior to elected Republicans. Unless you want to add that fucking acknowledgement in, like, hey, listen, we know you're better than they are. So we expect you to be better.
That's what Benny did.
That's the only thing I will ever tolerate. If it's just when they go low, you need to go high. No, go fuck yourself. I'll do
that impression of.
So should
that's his Kermit.
That's my Jake Tapper dipshit impression. I just don't know. It frustrates
called
me.
Out.
You're a major news anchor now, Josiah. You have to be careful.
You're not getting another Don Lemon interview with that kind of rhetoric.
No, listen. Even Don Lemon recognizes the double standard. God love him. Okay, let's play this clip. Let's see here.
Let's see. What is this a clip of, Josiah?
So I wanted to show this clip because I am not just impressed with there's so much that's impressed me about this campaign, but what's really impressed me is her messaging right now. And I thought this clip was a masterclass in repurposing language that's typically reserved for conservatives and totally spinning it around and reclaiming it. So yeah, check it out. It's really good.
And then the outcome will be fair. And isn't that what we're talking about in this here election? We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. We want to recognize the right all people have to freedom and liberty to make choices, especially those that are about heart and home, and not have their government telling them what to do.
Freedom, liberty, get government out of, things like.
Our campaign is about saying we trust the people. We see the people. We know the people. You know, one of the things I love about our country? We are a nation of people who believe in those ideals that were foundational to what made us so special as a nation. We believe in those ideals. And the sisters and brothers of labor have always fought for those ideals. Always fought for those ideals. And we know we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die trying because we love our country and we believe.
Patriotism, love the country, If we take away the American flag and this kind of language from them, what do they have? You know what I mean? Like, I say fully lean into it and just start.
She's really,
she's
I mean, I can't think of, like whoever is giving the strategic advice to Kamala and Tim, whoever they are seriously hitting it out of the park. Like it really does seem like a very, very effective form and kind of messaging and discipline. Yeah. I mean, one thing I read about Kamala was that, she came off relatively stilted in 2021 when she became vice president, had some flubs in interviews. So she actually underwent like formal media training to try and get better at that. And it really appears to have worked. Like she does seem to be quite good. Tim Walz, I didn't think about it on the Tim Walz topic. But I don't know about you guys. Like when I was in high school and I had like a good teacher, one thing about teachers is, 30 kids an hour, 8 or 9 different classes. You got a bunch of teenagers saying stupid shit to you all the time. And you have to be kind of quippy in order to control the classroom and, maintain order. And like, who are they running against? They're running against guys like Trump and Vance, who are kind of like stupid teenagers, right? Like this guy is been molded in the classroom to really be pretty optimal in responding to this. I hadn't thought about that before, but it's like, man, like Tim Walz is great. Like they seem to be a really, really good team. I do hope they actually divide and conquer. I hope eventually you'll see Walz doing a rally in Wisconsin while she does a rally in Georgia or something like that.
I expect you will. I expect
you will at some point. I think they're together right now just to get his brand out there, and then they'll eventually divide up after the convention.
The other thing too that's interesting about him is that he reportedly had no experience with a teleprompter, and he spent the entire day before he gave that first speech with her practicing, which I thought was like,
and he knocked it out of the park because he also delivered it in a way which came off so fluid and authentic. It didn't come off like a teleprompter speech.
He's a great speaker.
Yeah. So it's interesting because as much kudos as I think is appropriately paid to President Obama, I still go back and forth over who the best rhetorician in the Democratic Party is at the presidential level. Cause I think you could easily make the case for President Clinton. He didn't have the scholarly background or in the level of scholarship that President Obama did.
He was a Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah, but I mean, like he was, Obama was also a constitutional law professor and things like that. I'm not saying that Clinton wasn't a scholar, but his presentation and his affectation was very different, right? He didn't try to have the professorial nature that Obama did. I think you'd easily make the case that Clinton is the best rhetorician in the Democratic Party. It's close between him and Obama. But my point is that I think that some of Walz's delivery kind of reminded me of that in the sense that he gave a speech without it coming off like a speech. Like he was a teacher standing up at a lectern and just speaking extemporaneously. There were some flubs, he used like a past participle where he should, all this shit, but like it came off so authentic. And then I heard afterwards exactly what you said, Hutch. I didn't know that he didn't have teleprompter experience. It was actually Fox that broke that news to me. Bill Hemmer on Fox was like, reportedly, Tim Walz doesn't use a teleprompter. That was his first like major interaction with one, which is stunning. I do also want to go back to the Patriot thing though, which I think is just worth talking about. I understand that the Democratic coalition struggles with this. I get it, right? Especially the more progressive side that tends to be very critical of America. for me, I've always looked at it as I think Matt Walsh said, or as Michael Knowles, one of the Daily Wire guys, said something to the effect of progressives can't love America because they want to change so much of America. And it's almost like, it's almost like your wife. And if you tell your wife that you want to fundamentally change her, do you really love her? And to me, I look at America, it's a home, right? It's a house. And if your house needs to be remodeled or renovated or expanded, if there are fundamental changes which need to be made to your house, and so be it, doesn't mean you hate it. It means you love it enough to improve on it when and where it is. So as far as I'm concerned, I think even from the progressive angle, there is still, I think we can lay claim to that sense of patriotism, because certainly MAGA Republicans are not fucking patriots. The MAGA Republican Party, the party that wants to make Trump a king, that loves, that celebrates presidential immunity, as far as I'm concerned, if you back the Trump v. United States decision, you're not a fucking patriot. You should move back to Britain, where they have a monarch, where they have a sovereign, in my opinion.
It was the Trump era that taught me patriotism, ironically. I mean, it was how many months into his presidency when he tried to do the Muslim ban and there were the airport protests? I went to the airport protests in San Francisco. There were 3,000 people there, and I immediately felt like it swelled up inside me. I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe we're not that bad. And just the fact that our institutions were able to withstand someone like him, that made me appreciate them more. And then, so I started thinking about everything very differently in the Trump era. And so, yeah, I mean, I would put an American flag in my background, and it wouldn't be ironic. I would be, proud of the history and where we've come from.
It's all over the iconography on my channel. Before we play this, though, and Pisco, you reacted to it. Do you disagree with any of that, or what do you think?
I'm sorry. 1 second.
Holy shit!
Jesus, he's got tuberculosis over here.
I didn't expect to be called
Clear
out.
your throat out, good sir.
Damn.
I'm sorry. I agree that I like your analogy. The house is good. I think the structure of America is very strong. We have
Pisco
good
is
pillars.
fighting for his life right now.
I think it's funny that you said that you should deport everyone who agrees with the Trump versus United States decision. That made me laugh because of our last conversation when you went full Emperor Palpatine mode.
I did. I invited them to return to the monarchy that they so clearly crave, where they have a sovereign who's above the law. That's clearly what some segments of, I mean, did you see the polls on that, folks? When 78% of Americans, according to Data for Progress or its Navigator research, says that they disagree with the Trump decision, or the Trump v. Anderson SCOTUS decision. But when the question is posed directly to Republicans,
right,
and you swap out generic president for Trump, there's a spike in the number of people. That's so fucking gross and should be relentlessly mocked, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, I was just going to say, when she starts speaking, maybe it would be fun to tune in to that.
You don't want to hear Walz say a couple lines?
I hear what he has to say a little bit. Let's just hear what he has to say a little bit.
The statistics and the facts are clear about this. Violent crime was up under Donald Trump.
He's just so fucking effective.
Yeah,
and we don't even have to count his crimes in that to make it up. So,
which is a pretty rare skill, I think, for politicians to sound authentic that way.
Hey,
even
what about
body language? I think the fact that he may have some inexperience might be to his credit.
What about when people are like, he says the same shit like they don't know what a fucking stump speech is?
Yeah, that's just right.
Well, what they're used to is Donald Trump going up there unprepared, rambling for an hour and a half over mundane shit, right?
But he has a stump speech too. He fucking references Hannibal Lecter anytime there's a camera in front. The late great Hannibal Lecter. He'll have you for dinner.
The thing is,
Republicans used.
I was gonna say, I think that's genuinely why Republicans are saying this. Is for a decade they're used to Trump basically being unable to stay on message, whereas Democrats are, professional, relatively professional politicians, right? So,
yeah.
Look, in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. We maybe wouldn't make the same choices, but we respect them. And I know in Minnesota and in Arizona and places across this country,
it's pretty wild that he's a year younger than Brad Pitt.
Is when you learn a golden rule.
6 months older than Kamala.
Mind your own business.
Crazy.
It is strange. I didn't realize they were that close in age, him and Brad Pitt. Because I'll be honest with you, when I saw Tim Walz, first thing I thought of was Brad Pitt.
I don't need you telling me what books to read. I don't need you telling me about what religion we worship. And I sure the heck don't need you to tell me.
They hit him with
family.
a barrage of Oppo research too. So like, there's so much bullshit going on about his service in the National Guard, and there's bullshit going on about law that he signed in.
Look,
bill that he signed into law regarding language about gender,
about IVF and
not gender,
reproductive care.
sexual preference or sexual orientation.
When my wife and my wife of 30 years, because
conversion
we
therapy,
share
right?
family values, we just make
I don't
our
know
own
about the
damn
conversion
choices
therapy.
about
What's
our
that one?
family.
I think they might have passed a law banning it.
One of my suggested.
No, what they did was there was an
went
old
through
law in the
years
books
of
that
fertility.
defined sexual orientation, and in the definition they specified at the end that it didn't apply to pedophiles, but that was outdated. Like, you didn't need that language, and it was based on like an old trope of equating queerness with pedophilia, and so they originally took the language out, which now the Republicans are saying, well, that meant that they were that they were giving protections for pedophiles. But that's they ended up adding an amendment back in to like clarify that it didn't apply to them. So, and then Walz signed that one into law, and so the whole premise is bullshit too. The stuff about his service is crazy too, because he had already fucking retired from the National Guard, and then that September 11th happened, and then he deployed to Europe to support the military through the various channels there, and then he resigned again.
Congress. Yeah.
Well,
that was the after Tim Walz became the VP pick, we saw so much conservative cope and seethe with regards to this pick. I was wondering if you guys had any best hits for the funniest reactions that conservatives had. I have one that I can post in the chat that kind of came off the top of my head. This was one from Nikki Haley HQ, a hilarious group of people on Twitter. Love them. They're ridiculous. Their queen endorsed the tyrant, and they have to pretend that she's a moderate, which I find hilarious. But they end up posting. So one thing that conservatives have tried to do about Tim Walz, they tried to basically like tie him intrinsically to Ilhan Omar. Oh, look at this Muslim woman who represents people in Minnesota. Little suspicious that the governor of Minnesota is in so many pictures and supporting her. Isn't that crazy? And this was one that the Nikki Haley HQ tweeted out. What did they say? When the pro-Hamas squad endorses Tim Walz, you've lost the Haley centrist voters, guys. Do we feel like Tim Walz endangers the centrist vote in this election for Kamala Harris?
I'm of the opinion that most centrists are just shy Republicans, certainly those online. So I don't put much stock in it anyway. I think those who are genuinely just right-leaning moderates, because we have 330 million people in this country. There are people out there who, if the ticket were anyone other than Donald Trump, they would happily vote Republican, but genuinely have their reservations with him. I don't think Walz will endanger those people. I really don't. Yeah.
I think the issue with that analysis is that, again, we have to imagine a type of voter that exists. I'm sure that there's a margin of people that exist in this regard who, I hate that Trump is a literal authoritarian proto-fascist, but gosh, that Tim Walz guy, he did do that thing where he put tampons in boys' bathrooms, supposedly, and he did serve his country for 24 years and retired to run for Congress. But, that's the thing for me that makes the difference. Like, I'll vote for this guy who I think is a tyrant just to avoid this weird guy from Minnesota who is pro-trans rights. Like, there's not many people like this that actually exist. The Haley centrist voters who hate Donald Trump, there's probably speaking not a lot of reasons that they're going to have to vote for Trump. And if they're going to vote for Trump for these stupid reasons, I don't really know how Haley centrist voters they really were. Like, a lot of voters who voted for Haley are going to vote for Trump in the general anyway, because they're just dedicated Republicans before they are actually principally committed, moderate sort of constitutional conservatives. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know to what extent. I don't think that Walz endangers any of the rapidly shrinking centrist voting bloc whatsoever. I mean, I don't know. None of the talking points against him, as we've discussed, have really stuck. I mean, the closest one is the stolen valor thing, which has been debunked to hell and back.
Have you guys been following Ben Shapiro's positive meltdown on Twitter. Have you guys
He's
seen
spiraling. He's
this?
spiraling.
He is spiraling out of control.
I'm not following this at all. Is it really bad?
Did you not
He
see
is-
his video?
He's tweeting like once an hour, 15 hours, like a day, about Tim Walz and like how much
I'm
of a
seeing
radical.
it now, yeah.
Like he's losing his mind, trying his best to make Tim Walz seem like a radical socialist, so that he's tied to Kamala, because none of the attacks on her have really stuck. And it is genuinely embarrassing for Ben Shapiro to be doing this. Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, let's see here. Going into the Walz archives from, this is what he retweeted, from the early COVID days and the disgusting lockdown tyranny still makes my blood boil. Walz was the worst of them, a power-hungry lunatic who threw his own mother under the bus to come off as a politician who was following the signs. Pure evil. So Ben Shapiro believes that Tim Walz is pure evil. He retweeted something to that effect. Let's see.
Yeah,
Conservatives I'm just curious here. Conservatives are spending a lot of time whining about the fact that Kamala's camp is being strategically smart. Not doing interviews is smart. She's dumb and can't handle them. Using pop stars and rapper to fill stadiums is also smart. I mean, I disagree with the idea that she's dumb and can't handle interviews, but I have been saying on my channel, it is very smart. I think she would be quite foolish to risk the current momentum that she has on an interview, which will be relentlessly scrutinized in bad faith by right-wing media. While this momentum carries, I mean, she's got to keep an eye on it. She's got to be prepared that as soon as that momentum meaningfully dips, because the press truly is fed up with the lack of interviews or whatever, then yeah, she needs to quickly schedule an interview. But no, I think she is very shrewd not to do this.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, my thing with Shapiro, I'm definitely interested in what people had to say. Like, to me, I feel vindicated about a lot of things, but using Steven as an example. So I helped him prep for his Ben Shapiro conversation. And I think he was kind of stunned even because he had previously said that he felt that Shapiro was one of the more principled, reasonable conservative commentators. And then during that conversation that, not Tim Pool, what the fuck's that guy? The Elon Musk guy. God damn it. What's his name? Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman moderated, where Shapiro just blatantly was like, yeah, of course I grade Donald Trump on a curve. I mean, my God, I don't hold my 6-year-old the same standard that I do my 11-year-old. And you can see on Steven's face the shock that Shapiro just, yeah, this guy has an R next to his name. Therefore, I will grade him on a curve. The reaction that DGG in general has it seems like more and more people coming out of the woodwork to really, lay into these so-called principled conservative pundits, I think is just well worth it, because none of them are. If you are a principled conservative, you cannot support Donald Trump because he's not a conservative.
She's about to take the mic right now. If you wanted to tune in for a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to hear this crowd.
This is Arizona, Phoenix.
That's right.
God damn it. Where's this link?
Get it together.
Thank you. Hello, Arizona.
Oh, you are failing this moment. There you go.
Why are you yelling at me? All right, there we go.
Loud crowd.
The crowds have been popping, bro. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, 1999.
Also, I can't believe Kamala would degrade the office of the vice president by wearing a tan suit, and that
looks great.
This crowd is hot.
The camera works.
Holy crap.
People were laughing on Twitter when you compared it to Obama 08, but this is for sure Obama 08 levels, like 100%.
That's a huge crowd.
Hutch, you should screenshot that. Put that on Twitter.
So
that panoramic.
What panoramic?
We're gonna do this.
Like the wide shot of the stadium.
Yeah, that wide shot rather of the crowd.
Thank you all. Thank you. Can we hear it for Tim Walz?
Another 30 seconds.
Oh to be back in Arizona. Good evening, everyone.
I don't know if we've ever had a candidate this like
Thank you all
joyful,
so
you know,
Yeah.
very
openly
much.
joyful.
Oh, it is good to be back. Let me just say, let me just start by thanking everyone who is here. Thank you all so very much. All of you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We are going to do this.
I believe her.
And I want to thank all of the incredible leaders who are here, including Congressman Greg Stanton,
Mark Kelly.
your next United States Senator, Congressman Ruben Gallego,
Oh yeah, he's ahead by like 10.
Dude, he's blowing Carrie Lake
and
out.
my
Mr.
dear
Blake.
friend, United States Senator Mark Kelly.
The Tesla race
not.
doesn't look good right now.
And let me just say, as Arizona knows, Mark is an extraordinary leader who has dedicated his life to the service of our nation as a fighter pilot, as an astronaut, and as a member of the United States Congress. And he has given so much to our country. He always fights for the people of Arizona. And I am so grateful,
Let's
Mark,
go.
for your friendship and your leadership.
Can we just point out, I've watched most of the rallies. Maybe
And of
I missed
course,
one.
the
I have not
phenomenal
heard her say,
Congresswoman Gabby Giffords.
like, I have not heard her flub
Oh.
a single line.
Let's take notice. Let's keep track.
There are also an incredible group of mayors with us today. Mayor Kate
Republican
Gallego,
mayor, name of what's his name?
Mayor Corey Woods,
Kate
Giles.
Gallego.
Giles is the
and
Republican.
Arizona co-chair of Republicans for Harris, Mayor John Giles.
Damn, I'm
Wow.
The mayor of Phoenix is the ex-wife of Ruben Gallego.
Somebody's got security for him.
Fun
So
fact.
today, I also bring greetings from our incredible president,
Joe.
Biden.
Like he's dying or something.
Did you see his approval rating went up like 15 points?
Really?
After he
No, I
dropped
did
out.
not.
Joe.
Biden's?
Yeah. So 15?
I swear to God.
All right.
What if he comes back on stage and says he's got the aviators,
And
Kamala?
I know we are all
Taking
deeply
over.
grateful for his
I want it back.
lifetime of service to our
Oh,
nation.
we are.
We thank Joe Biden each and every day
It's like they have him as a
for
martyr.
all
It's,
he is and all he has done and all he has yet to do. Let
Okay,
us
I
thank
exaggerated
him
with 15.
always.
Slight bump.
It felt 15. Emotionally, it was 15.
So, Arizona, this has been a big week.
when she laughs, it makes
On
me want to
Monday,
laugh.
I officially became the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
Dude, I feel like this convention is going to be so fucking off the hook.
I just want Taylor to show up, play his set.
And on Tuesday, I announced my running mate in this campaign, Governor Tim Walz.
Taylor Swift plays at the convention. That would be fucking
And
unbelievable.
as you all just heard, Tim has a great record as governor of the great state of Minnesota. And to those who know him best, Tim goes by a few more titles besides governor. To his wife, Gwen,
Oh, Gaza?
He handled those hecklers perfectly, in my opinion.
Well, I'm sure she's been briefed on how to handle it in future times as well. So let's see how she does it.
I'm so fucking done with them.
so
Will she tell the crowd to beat them
Well,
up?
let's see
like
what they
some-
do. Let's see what they do.
So Tim, we know him by governor, but you'll soon get to know his wife Gwen, to whom, you know what? Hold on a second. Hold on,
Oh,
everybody.
oh,
Hold
oh,
on.
oh, 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 oh.
Hold on.
I don't know. News is about to
Hold
be
on.
made.
Here's the thing.
She's gonna.
We are all in here together. I'm told an extraordinary number of folks who are here together because we love our country. We're here to fight for our democracy.
She's gonna be
Which includes
magnanimous.
respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say
Good
this
for you.
on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me
Yes,
just speak
Kamala.
to that for a moment,
They
and then I'm
briefed her
going
on
to
this.
get back to the business at hand.
Wow.
Let's go. That's what I wanted.
So let me say, I have been clear. Now is the time to
For
get
ceasefire.
a ceasefire
Yeah.
deal and get the hostage deal done.
That's gonna shut him up.
Will it though?
Now is the time.
Well, today
And
maybe.
the president and I are working around
I guess
the
not. They
clock
wanna
every day
embargo.
to get that ceasefire deal done and bring the hostages home.
Yeah, she's in a very difficult position.
Yep.
So good for her.
Yep.
So I respect your voices, but we are here to now talk about this race in 2024.
She's still VP,
That's
guys.
a great. That's
Like,
a great
she can't-
answer.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got to walk that tightrope. She can't undermine Biden.
She
you
can,
know?
yeah. That's a really good response.
So, Tim Walz, so let's just say this. Besides being governor, the thing I've come to learn about Tim Walz that you have known and may learn more, he's an extraordinary
Wait, did they shut
person.
up?
He's known by many titles.
I
to
think
his
there are a
wife,
few
Wendy, his
you
husband,
were shouting.
to his kids.
Many.
They can't yell
Hope
the
and
whole
Gus,
time. Their voices will
his
go out.
dad,
Yeah, just
to
like
the
mine.
people of southern Minnesota for 12 years.
He's
he was a
daddy to me,
congressman.
Kamala.
To his former high school
Nobody?
students.
Nobody else?
He
All
was
right,
Mr. Walz.
Sergeant Major, say it.
And
His
to
actual
his
title.
former high school football players, he was coach.
Somewhere, somebody at Fox is having an aneurysm. He was a defensive coordinator.
He wasn't a coach. He was never a head coach.
Ever.
And in
Somebody
88
fucking fact
days,
checked
the
it.
nation will know
That's the real
Coach
stolen
Walz
valor.
by a new title.
Vice President Walz.
He
Vice
only won
President
the
of
championship
United States.
because of a bad call by the referee.
She handled that protest beautifully.
So
oh my
it's so
God,
good to
10
be
out of
back
10.
in Arizona, and I thank
She
you
took
all
notes
for
from the
turning out
backlash.
today.
Yep,
This is an
she did.
extraordinary.
Adaptable, quick study.
I'm still happy she did what she did a couple days ago, though. I'm not gonna lie.
And Arizona, I'll also say this, as exciting as this is, we cannot lose sight of a really important fact. We are definitely running as the underdog. We are
Nah.
the
I
underdog.
love it. I love it.
We are out in
She's got to
great
say the
numbers,
touch.
but
She
we
has
got
to
a
say
lot
it.
of
I mean,
work to do.
yeah, I got it.
And
She's ahead, though.
this is going to be hard work, but I know we like hard work. Hard work is good work for all of us. Hard work is good work.
We need Johnny T to win in
and we
Montana.
will do
I
it
haven't
with
seen her this
joy.
good in any of the stumps, and I've watched like probably 80% of them.
And I know we are all
She's reaching
clear
her final
about what
form.
we are up against.
She's getting better she's like
As
constantly
many of
evolving,
you
getting
know,
better with every iteration.
Before I
Yep.
was elected vice president,
I don't hear any ums either.
I was an elected United States senator.
She doesn't ever. There's none.
Before that,
And
before that,
Econo Boy,
I
you're
was an
right. Like
elected
she is
attorney general.
way more polished
Before
now.
that,
You can
an
tell.
elected district attorney.
Yeah. He's taking advantage of the free time of the office of the vice presidency these
And
last
before that, I
3
was
and
a
a half
courtroom
years.
prosecutor.
I know his type.
So I took on,
Oh,
in these roles, perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who ripped off consumers.
she is the one.
She changed the speech up just a little bit
Scammers
here.
who broke the rules for personal gain. So Arizona,
Hear me.
hear me when I say,
There you go.
I know Donald Trump's type.
Oh God, she's gonna murder him on that debate stage, boys.
Oh,
Oh my
down the rhetoric.
God.
Calm down the rhetoric, Hutch. Calm down the rhetoric.
Sorry,
All right.
she's gonna.
It's all about
Kill him.
memes. It's all about repetition,
In
repetition,
fact,
repetition.
I've been dealing
She
with
is going to
people like it my
assassinate him on that
entire
debate
career.
stage.
Jesus, Hutch.
Oh my
For
God.
example, as Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges that scammed students. Well, Donald Trump ran a for-profit college that scammed students. As a prosecutor, I specialized in
That's the
cases
first
of
time I've heard her
sexual
flub.
abuse. Well, Donald Trump was found liable for committing
That was literally the first
abuse.
time.
But it was very fluid, very fluid.
As
Her
Attorney
delivery
General,
is
I
really
held
keynote.
Wall
It's
Street banks
the best
accountable
I've heard
for
of this
fraud.
stump, and I've heard this stump
So she just said that he was found liable for sexual abuse, which is true.
Guilty of fraud.
President Biden,
36 or 34? Was it 34?
34.
34.
All right, just
yeah. The day before Trump was the subject of that assassination attempt, President Biden referred to Trump as a rapist. Do you think she'll go that hard against him?
maybe in the debate.
I don't think so.
I don't think she needs to.
Yeah, I don't think she needs to.
My record against his every day.
I think her strategy is going to be to let Trump flail as much as possible and just kind of sit back.
I'll bet you anything her debate prep team are coming up with a multi-pronged strategy to bait him, to get him pissed.
And you know what's great? She'll be able to execute that strategy.
Yeah.
What if she comes out and says she beats Medicare?
Oh my God.
We're going to finish the job.
And I love you back.
Our campaign is about two different visions for our nation.
Can I just say I love her fake calls with people, with Obama and with Walz.
The other,
Those are so fun.
focused on the past.
I just want to say, because chat was saying, is Trump a rapist? Yes, the presiding judge of that civil case said that in terms of common parlance, what the jury found is that Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, who did it digitally. It didn't rise to the level of the New York Penal Code, but yes.
It's because the traditional definition of rape is usually requires penile insertion or organ insertion. But the modern definition of rape includes digital or object.
To own a home, to start a business, to build wealth.
I'm kind of looking forward more to the J.D. Vance Tim Walz debate. I'll be honest. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, man.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, God. It's going to be so memeable.
Honor tribal sovereignty and respect tribal self-determination.
I think JD is going to look like a dweeb.
I bet a guy $300 that Trump would eventually say yes to a debate, because there was just no way he couldn't. There was just no way he could not. When she's rising, you just can't. There's no way he
Especially
doesn't.
because he knew she would get the full airtime on that stage alone. ABC wasn't going to cancel it.
We believe in a future where we lower the cost of living for America's families.
And he was never going to let the narrative
so
that he ran away from a girl. Like, he was never going to allow that, ever.
But to get
In a million
ahead.
years.
Because look,
There's such a thing as oral sex, and sex that doesn't require insertion of the penis into an orifice. Just so you know.
There's also
Although I
that
guess
whole-
oral sex is
There's also
a
that
type
whole
of orifice.
consensual part.
when I was Attorney General,
Yeah.
I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, I will continue that work to bring down prices. I will take
Do we think Beyonce is going to show up at the convention, or Taylor Swift?
I think you better. Oh, yeah, I think you'll get one.
We need Stone Cold Steve Austin and Taylor Swift. And then
Coming
I'll
out
be
together, singing Exile
I will take on
instead of
Big
Bon Iver.
Pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans.
She's going to get like Springsteen.
happy. Little John and the East Side Boys
And all of this is to
suggested in
say,
chat.
What
do you
if
mind?
Springsteen shows up to the
I
DNC,
will
Chris Christie
always
will just
put
plow
the
his
middle
way through.
class
He is the
and
world's
working
biggest
families
Bruce
first.
Springsteen fan.
Oh, you know she'll get Springsteen.
Here's a question. Should Mitt Romney be invited to speak at the
Because you see,
DNC?
Coach Walz and I know the middle class built the United States
Genuine
of
question.
America.
Pisco, your camera went out. I don't know if you did that
And
deliberately.
when the
just
middle
let them know.
class is strong,
What is Pisco hiding from us?
America is strong.
And Nikana boy, you know Aaron Sorkin's writing an op-ed in the New York Times right now about how Mitt Romney should
And
be the
while we
keynote
work
speaker.
to move
No, I've
Nation
actually heard.
forward.
I've heard this that
Look,
apparently
Donald Trump,
there are
be
there are
very
rumblings
clear,
about Mitt Romney
intends to
speaking
move
at the
us
DNC, which would be
That'd be
very
crazy.
interesting.
No.
Brandon, she did in chat. Brandon,
And
yes,
we're
she did
not
mention
going
Ceasefire
back.
already.
If he wants to speak, I think we should let him. It'd be really interesting.
He said I guess he's on record as saying he'll vote for the Democrat in 2024.
Well, I didn't know that. That's great.
Honestly, if he spoke,
Just look.
Sorry.
not a keynote, but if he spoke, I don't think that would be a terrible idea at all.
No, of course. Former
I'd be okay
Republican,
with Mitt.
From a Republican
It's
nominee speaking at the
900 plus
DNC.
pages.
I mean,
I
that's a
can't believe
pretty
they put that
interesting
thing in
story.
That would
writing, by the
be
way.
pretty big story. Just to
But
respond to
when you
Louise in
look
the
at
chat,
it, when you
it's called
read it, you will
stump
see
speech.
Project
But
2025
you will hear
is a
variations.
plan to
I didn't
weaken
hear
middle
it
class.
before. Reference to
If
American
he is
Indians
elected, Donald Trump
in her previous
intends to
versions of
give
it,
a
right?
tax
So you see
break
little
to
I could be
billionaires
wrong.
and
Maybe
big
she did,
corporations.
but you can see little different variations
Yeah, these
of
things
it,
are
and those are
He
iterative.
interesting.
intends to
Another one
cut
is
Social
her
Security
response to
and
the
Medicare.
protesters. This time was substantive as opposed to just I'm
He
speaking now. We
intends
want to be Trump.
surrender our fight
Hutch
against
has
the
a kitty.
climate crisis.
What's the kitty's name, Hutch?
Clementine?
And Arizona, every day you
Aw.
feel the
great
impact of
name.
extreme heat and
From
drought.
Eternal Sunshine, not Walking Dead.
You know this crisis is real. He calls it a hoax.
He does.
And on top of all of this, if Donald Trump wins in November, he intends to end the Affordable Care Act
100%.
and take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions.
Remember
You
how that
remember
was?
what that was? Remember what
know
that
this.
was? He won't win. You're right.
We were the underdogs.
Listen.
Yeah, she grabs the
538.
mic. She grabs the mic nervously. Yes, but we are still the underdog.
We will win.
gotta have
538, they got it. They
Let's
have her up in every state that she
go.
needs.
Cautious optimism.
Organic,
Pennsylvania,
not a
Wisconsin,
plant.
And part of
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin,
why we
Michigan.
are going
She's
to
up in
win
those
is
states according to the
because
aggregate.
We remember. And we are
Remember.
I still hope
smart.
she wins the Electoral
And
College but
we
loses the
know
popular vote.
what's happening. And we're
That would be
not falling
amazing.
for the gaslighting.
You want her to
and we're
lose the
not falling
popular
for the
vote?
I
okey
do.
doke.
I just think it'd be so fucking funny, Tisco.
She
It would be
took
the
lead
funniest
in
thing
the,
that happened in my life.
That's
If that
why.
happened.
She took the lead
So
in the
look,
betting
America
markets
has
today,
tried
poly market for the
so
first
many
time.
of those failed policies
By like
before,
1% probably.
And like we all know,
2%?
we're not
Oh, okay.
going back.
We're not going back. Bitches.
We will move forward and take on the biggest issues
Have they
facing
announced the
our
slogan yet? Is
nation.
it when we fight, we win,
For
or is it we're not
example,
going back?
The issue of immigration.
Was Obama's yes
So
we
I was
can or
Attorney
a
General
choice we
of
can
a
believe
border
in?
state. I went after
think in
the
2008 it was just
transnational
hope,
gangs,
right?
Or
the
hope.
drug cartels, and human traffickers.
I mean, they have multiple
I
slogans a lot of
prosecuted
times.
them in case
campaign.
after case, and I won.
Did you see the?
one.
Did you
Let's
see
see,
the? it was
Kamala
like-
has
So I know
Kamala
what
has
I'm
3
talking about.
slogans. Let's win this.
We
When we
know
fight, we
our
win.
immigration system
and we're
is
not going
broken,
back.
And we know what it takes to
Did you see
fix
the play on the Obama Hope thing, where it was like hope, hate, heal, grow?
Yeah, yeah,
that
I
was,
like that.
that was good.
strong
Yeah,
border
great.
security, and an earned pathway to citizenship.
Let's go. Common sense. Border security.
Get rid of the filibuster, Kamala.
But Donald Trump does not want to fix this problem. Be clear about that. He has no interest or desire to actually fix the problem.
Remember, she's in Arizona.
He talks
Arizona has a
game
big immigration
about border security,
issue
but he does not
in-
walk the walk.
There were a lot of
Earlier
lefties
this
that.
year,
well, I'm primarily
everybody
talking
here
about
knows
Hassan, but he
earlier
was
this year we
pissed
had a
that she was talking
chance
about immigration. It's like, dude, do you
Passed
want
has
to win
to.
this
the
election?
toughest
Or?
bipartisan border security bill in decades.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump tanked the deal.
Perfect. Pitch perfect in that delivery.
Because he thought by doing that it would help him win an election.
True.
They got McConnell saying that. They got Lindsey Graham
But when
saying
I
that.
am president, I will sign the bill.
Yeah, let's fucking go. That sounds good. Like, no, just making such a mistake.
So Arizona, ours is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing.
She's
a
hitting them with the
full-on
freedom thing
assault
again, right? Like, I
against
just think that's really
hard-fought,
keen.
Hard-won freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom
Notice how they
to
frame that
love
as a
who you
freedom.
love openly and with pride. And the woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government telling her what to do.
Get that big government out of
And
your
on that
house.
last point, understand how we got here. When he was president, Donald Trump handpicked three members of the United States Supreme
It
Court
hurts my heart whenever I think of that, Josiah.
with the intention that they would overturn and undo the
And that's
protections
what they
of Roe v.
did.
Wade. And as he intended, they
I'm
did.
about to buy an American flag.
Yeah.
And now, in over 20 states in our nation, there is a
Gotta
Trump
get one, Hutch.
abortion
They're cheap
ban.
on Amazon.
100%.
Many, like Arizona, with no
I got someone in my
exceptions,
chat
even
said I
for
already
rape
bought
or
one 30
incest.
minutes ago. Nice. We got that libbed up patriotic
And just
energy.
yesterday, in a press conference, we got a fresh reminder
Oh,
of
he's-
what Donald Trump's Project 2025 agenda would do. It would ban medication abortion in
Yep.
every state.
He fucked up with that answer.
They did.
Yeah, the Mr.
But we
Christo
are not
answer.
going to
That
let
was
that
the worst one.
happen
Gotta let it go to a vote.
because
Gotta
we
let it go to a vote.
trust
There's so
women.
many humane, mifepristone ways, so many ways. You gotta get a people vote, but there are ways. You gotta vote ways.
And you see, they have the speech, but they just add bits to it, right? They have that line perfect. We can fit it right there. Boom.
Right.
And when I am President of the United States and when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedoms for
I
every
will sign
woman
it.
in America, I will sign it
I like what Aaron
into
said
law.
in the chat right there. Maybe even find a way to put that in the speech. To say patriotism, not nationalism.
I like
That might
that.
be a little too.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Policy
So
wonkish.
listen, here's
Yeah,
the thing
might be a
that
little
we
wonky.
all know. Here's the thing we all know.
Every Republican will call themselves a nationalist the day after he
Generations.
says the.
Generations
says that.
of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. Now,
It's our
the
turn.
baton is in our hands.
Dude, I love the emphasis on the
Every
freedom.
one of
I
us.
just
Yeah.
fucking.
So we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. And we who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass an assault
So
weapons
now tying
ban,
the policy with freedom.
universal background checks, and red flag laws.
I saw Wick
So much.
tweeting criticism of her that she doesn't talk policy. It's like, dude, have you listened to
And
any of her speeches?
understand,
Yeah.
This
These are
is not
specific, like,
2020.
These are
10 policies.
specific policies, specific
And
laws.
this is not 2020.
Right.
We need the website section. That's
You know,
the last
this
piece.
time around, the stakes are
We need the
even
website
higher.
section.
That is
And
just so
that's because
dated. People
last
get their
month,
shit on in YouTube and
The
TikTok
United
now,
States
you know?
Supreme
Like,
Court basically just told
And the
former
internet.
president
Let's go with immunity,
who has
immunity.
been convicted of fraud
He's a king.
that going forward, he will be effectively immune no matter what he does.
Let's
in the
go.
White House.
technically
Old
not.
Scotty, just real quick, Old Scotty says during the
But
debate she
think
should ask
about
him what
that
Yes,
mifepristone
means.
is.
I love
Think
that,
about what
Scotty.
that means in this election. Think about what that means. He's been effectively told he will be immune if he's back in the White House. Think about what that means when you remember Donald Trump has openly vowed if reelected he will be a dictator on day one.
Woo!
Talk about pardoning the J6 people.
Yep.
Mention
That
the
he
guy who
will
was
weaponize
convicted
the
today.
Department of Justice against his political enemies.
Hannity tried to walk him out of that,
Remember
but
he even called for the quote
Termination.
termination of the Constitution of
Ah,
the United States.
I love that she's bringing that up. That's insane that he said that. And conservatives don't give a fuck about it.
Understand what this means. And let us be very clear.
Beasley had a good moment with
Someone who
Vivek
suggests
about that.
we
Yes,
should
he did.
terminate the
of him.
Constitution of the United States
I haven't
Never.
seen
be
should
president.
never
Yeah.
again stand behind the seal of the United States
Dude, this is
president.
her best speech I've
Never
ever
again.
seen.
Never again.
She's getting stronger. The power is rising. What do we do?
So Arizona, it all comes down to this. We are here
Never again, and
because
just
we
seamlessly
love
transitions
our
into like,
country.
so guys.
We love our country.
Let's go.
Yes, at a Dem rally. Let's go.
We're gonna watch the finals, basketball finals.
This
We
is-
love
like,
our
this
country, and
stadium
I
is
do
fucking
believe
packed.
it is the
It is
highest
packed.
form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country.
100%.
That's how we preserve the promise of America. And after all, the promise of America is what makes it possible for Governor Walz and me to be on the same stage together. Because think, 2 middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California,
Tim Walz.
Bay Area 707.
who was raised by a working mother,
So that might be
had a summer
415.
job at McDonald's,
Let's go.
Area.
Lean into that.
the other a
510,
son of
never mind.
Nebraska Plains who grew up working on a farm. Think about it. Only in America is it possible for them
Resume,
together
McDonald's,
to make
Attorney
it
General,
all the way to
Senator,
the White
Vice President,
House.
President of the United States.
Only in America. Only in America. So we together, all of us, we're running this campaign on behalf of all Americans, from red states to blue states, from the heartland to the coast. And when we are elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans. All Americans. So Arizona, ultimately in this election, I do believe we each one of us, we face a question. That question being, what kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of chaos, fear, and hate? Or a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law?
It's amazing how many people don't know that he floated ending the
And
Constitution.
Yeah,
Like, I get so many people in chat that are like, wait, what? What? Show me.
The beauty of our democracy is that we each have the power to answer that question. Each one of us in a democracy has the power to answer that question.
Damn.
The power is with the people.
Damn.
And in the next, then 88 days, we need you to use your power. We need you to knock on some doors. We need you to register folks to vote. We need you to energize, to mobilize, to organize,
Fight the meme war. Meme jihad.
and to make your voices heard.
Post the couch joke.
So Arizona, I ask, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom?
Freedom.
Wow.
Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you and God bless
9.8 speech. The best speech she's given I've ever seen of her career.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Well done, Madam Vice
Before
President.
we head
Titillating.
out, I do want to play this too. This was a really cool moment of the VP. I didn't see this until just a few seconds ago. Did you see this, Hutch?
Oh, what you got?
No?
Yeah.
What is this? Oh, yeah. I saw this.
Look at those sunglasses. Love them.
Dude.
Ah!
You know, I was telling my chat today, like, I think why I feel so confident is because she is so confident.
Feels confident.
Like,
yeah.
she just comes across as so ready for this moment and poised and confident, and it inspires confidence in me.
I'm doing it slow, just like the badass, like CSI.
Look at that.
Dun, ding, dun, ding, dun, ding. It's probably gonna be copyright struck, but I love it.
She's dripping with confidence. It's like,
That version of the stump speech was the strongest I've seen. I really, really am like happy with how she's improving her delivery. Again, it's not necessarily even just the content. The content I all agree with, but it's the delivery and her ability to be modular at times with it and to really hit those high notes. I think it's just really, really well done.
What do you think the right-wing cope is going to be after this fucking speech? After that performance, that crowd, what do you think it's going to be?
Oh, they're just going to continue to. They're just going to. I think they're going to continue to spiral. I think Trump is going to continue to spiral, and it will make them spiral more. And I just feel like she's just got the wind at her back right now.
Do you think we're going to get another bathroom Ben Shapiro fucking video where
maybe
it's like
I didn't even get to watch that yet.
I think what'll happen, because I'm slightly confident that Kamala is going to win, and I think when Trump loses, I think what you'll see is Trump's going to claim voter fraud again, of course, and he's going to pull everything he can to put everything through the courts again. January 6th isn't going to happen again because there's probably going to be like 10,000 troops fucking at the Capitol, like stationed.
Yeah, we will actually have a competent and capable commander in chief in Biden there, so there's no way in fuck he'd let that happen.
And I think what you're going to see immediately after, you're going to see like a real schism in the Republican leadership. I think you are going to initially see a lot of Republican leaders come out and say, look, we are not supportive of this guy anymore. Now, I think that stand is going to last for about 5 months. And then they'll immediately go back to supporting Trump. Like,
no, you're touching on what I think is like a secondary enormous benefit. Like the first one would be to have like a competent president like Kamala. The second benefit to all this is that he's not going to walk away from politics. And so, I don't know if his voters are going to necessarily abandon him. I don't think he'll be the nominee in 2028, but all the Republican politicians will still be beholden to him. And he's going to vow to end the career of anybody who dares to oppose him. And so as long as he's at the head of the Republican Party, I think Democrats are just really strongly
his base
positioned.
Seems to be shrinking by 1% each year, right? So like it's not like he's losing all of his popularity, but it does seem like in a genuine sense that margin of victory for Trump gets larger and larger and larger each year. The best thing that he had going from this election was that Biden was genuinely so old, and that made so many people undecided, but you're just not seeing that with Kamala. I will disagree with Hutch, though. I will say that if Trump decides he wants to be the nominee in 2028, he will be. I'd be shocked if that was
in jail. He will be in jail.
He'll never go to jail.
So one last thing I wanted to do before, you can go.
Well, I was just gonna say real quick. This is just I've just brought this tweet up since Hutch mentioned it, and that the chat was curious what this is. This is the tweet or the Truth Social in which Donald Trump called for the termination of the Constitution. A massive fraud in this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. So yes, Donald Trump did call for the termination of the Constitution.
Not even hyperbole. Yeah.
And he's called for the suspension as well at various times.
Tim Walz said you don't have a right to spread misinformation about where and how you can vote. And people are saying he's a dictator, he's a Maoist. Meanwhile, you got Trump who literally said we should just get rid of the Constitution, and the Republicans are totally silent on it. No principles.
We got to give you the last word because you were going to say something. Then
the last thing I wanted to do before we all left was go around the horn, and I know this one would be difficult for us. Give the top 3 quickly suggestions that you would give, honest, earnest suggestions to the Trump campaign about how to fix the momentum And or you could just give one. That's fine. Let's just do one.
Change the front runner. Change.
But it can't be changing the front runner.
Oh,
I honestly think getting rid of JD Vance would be a good, smart move for the Trump campaign and changing the narrative and changing the momentum and getting excitement. But that's my number one advice to the Trump campaign.
No more Mar-a-Lago press conferences. That's what I would.
No more press conferences.
No more.
yeah, but it gets better. Like if first you don't succeed, try again.
The problem that I find with the question like that, Pisco, is that there are not good, but there are smart people who are giving Trump good advice, right? Like all the advice that these Republicans online are saying, like, oh, he needs to stay on message more and he needs to drop this and that, he needs to add this to his messaging. He's getting all that advice from insiders and consultants in the Republican Party. He's just ignoring it, right?
He's
like
incapable.
That's what I'm saying. Like any piece of advice that you might give, even if you had his ear, he's not going to listen to it. So it's like, what advice could you give Trump that he would actually listen to that would be good for his campaign? Like, I guess I would say like you need to do more rallies.
So more rallies. Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of that he would listen to. Other than that, it's like everything's good advice, but he's ultimately not going to actually do anything to reflect that advice that would actually be good, right?
No, I was just gonna say change the vice presidential candidate. As far as her response to the hecklers, she's getting props right now from Zach and Gavin at the Vanguard, who are pretty.
Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah, and
what's
Mehdi
Kyle
Hassan
Kalinske
as well.
saying?
So that's a good question. I'll have to check real quick.
We need a quick update on Kyle Kalinske.
He hasn't posted about it yet.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on this. And the next week, are we still down for Wednesday?
It should be good.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
For me,
but I'm going to DC at the end of the month. So Josiah, you expressed an interest to maybe like meet up, and I'm gonna see if I'm gonna do like a fan meetup. So if you want to like cross streams or whatever, but if Econoboy and Pisco, you're in the neighborhood too, I'll be there, and
shoot us the beats.
Yeah, text me the deets, and we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll do some logistics and see if I can make it.
All right.
All right, boys.
Peace, everybody.